Good evening, good afternoon. I've been reading this book here. I found this on display in my local library, the Prairie County Library, and I think that they've done a very good job. Nose is itching there, but a very good job at picking this book out. Weird Kentucky, your travel guide to Kentucky's local legends and best kept secrets, by Jeffrey Scott Holland. And to read a little bit about Jeffrey Scott Holland. It says Jeffrey Scott Holland is an artist whose paintings have been exhibited around the world in 2006 and 2007 as part of the Project Egg installations. He had tens and thousands of green plastic Easter eggs containing miniature art prints across the United States. Many of the eggs remain undiscovered. They are still out there somewhere waiting to be found. In addition to his art career, it's been a lifelong researcher of paranormal and guest on TV shows such as Art Bell's Coast to Coast. His next book's project, Invisible Topography, proposes new ways to detecting ghosts via quantum physics and non-technology. Currently, his primary residence is in Louisville. Also contributing authors Troy Taylor, Mark Moran, and Mark Screwman also contributed to this book. The New York Press has caduced Mark Moran, Mark Screwman for their intrepid willingness to venture down a forbidden roads and explore the musty tunnels of America's Shadowlands. This is the book by which future explorers would chart their road trips in pursuit of the meaning of this nation. It has tons and tons of information in this book about Kentucky and just, a whole host of different places, different things I'd never seen or heard of. The one mystery in the unexplained phenomena. Let's see, where's it at here? I'll find it in just a minute. It's about a train near Paintsville, Kentucky. And I had actually heard about that. I remember reading about that. They didn't know what it was. But it was actually in Paintsville, Kentucky that it happened. This UFO, which is an unidentified flying object that hit a CSX train over there. And apparently, they never did find out what the source of it was. I'll find it here and I'll just read the excerpt that it has in here about it. I'm pretty close by here somewhere. Read the excerpt it has in here about it, which pretty much, here it is. Train collides with UFO. On January 14th, 2002, 20 miles north of Paintsville, Kentucky. That's pretty near my hometown of Hyman. A train carrying coal had a close encounter with a large hovering object that was flying along the railroad tracks in front of it. Seeing lights coming around the bend, the crew assumed another train was approaching on another track and thought nothing of it. But as the train rounded the curve, the computer and the onboard instruments began going berserk, and the engines spontaneously shut themselves off. One crewman's watch stopped at 2:47 a.m. The crewman saw 3 UFOs, unidentified flying objects, with searchlight beams scanning the nearby river as though looking for something. The train was still rolling on the Intra about 30 miles per hour and struck the first object, clipping the tops of the first 3 cars, leaving severe gouges in the train's hull. All the objects immediately vanished. After getting emergency power systems going, the crew notified their dispatcher and apprised him of the situation. They were advised to continue to a milepost near the abandoned Paintsville yard and assess the damage there. 2 hours later, the damaged train hobbled into Paintsville. It says what happened next sounds like something out of the movies, but it's the crew's story and they're sticking to it. They were greeted by a huge outrage of government officials who immediately took charge of the train and everyone aboard. Teams were already in place, ready to disconnect the damaged cars from the rest of the train and roll them into a large tent they erected to conceal them. The crew were allegedly held for hours, interrogated, given medical tests, told to keep quiet about the entire incident due to national security. They were then taken to Martin, where they were all questioned all over again by railroad officials, given drug tests, and released. They were sent back to work just 8 hours after a short nap, and they noticed that they passed through Paintsville again, that the tent and cars and everything connected to the incident was packed up and gone. This is still noticeable coal spillage 20 miles. There was still a noticeable coal spillage about 20 miles back where the collision had taken place. However, the story, if true, would seem to indicate that those UFOs were experimental aircraft of our own creation. Given the fast response time and containment set in place by these shadowy government agents, the disc that collided with the train was described as being silver with multicolored lights, approximately 18 to 20 feet long, 10 feet high. Sounds like the current trend of our own cutting-edge craft, which tend toward a triangular shape, but who can say for sure? And, I've seen these aircrafts. Today, the military will fly over my area, and they get really, really low. I mean, they come down really, really, really low. I've seen them follow the little valley where I live and behind my house. I've seen them fly out of there, fly right down low, and then turn and go right down the road. And, you ought to see them go. And so it kind of sounds like that might have been what hit the plane at that point in time, or the train. It sounds like that's what hit the CSX train, and they were trying to keep it secretive, no doubt. But anyway, good stories like that is filled with this inside this book. It's a great book. Talked about putt-putt golf, a putt-putt golf course in Lexington and one in Cave City. So I would love to go to them putt-putt golfs and play putt-putt golf. Anyway, had about the Mother Goose down here in Hazard, Kentucky. It had about that in there. So lots of interesting bits and pieces about Kentucky. I would advise you to check this book out at your local library if you can get it. Again, it's Weird Kentucky, Your Travel Guide to Kentucky's Local Legends and Best Kept Secrets by Jeffrey Scott Holland. So, check it out.